Ready? All right, standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as a way of respecting, honoring, and creating awareness about our past, we begin our village board meetings by acknowledging that New Paltz is on the ancestral land of the Munsee, Esopus, and Lenape people. And per usual, please check out our agendas and minutes for a list of different ways we can back up this land acknowledgement, and reach out if you have suggestions of things to add to that list.
I'm going to go ahead and make changes to the agenda. So on the consent agenda, we're going to include appointing Tony Saraceno, chair of the ZBA, as a member of the Landlord Tenant Relations Council in the landlord spot. And in the business agenda, we're going to add an item regarding a request to authorize the mayor to sign the amendment to our contract with the DEP. And that is it as far as changes to this agenda. So Perry, we have you on the consent agenda. Did you want to discuss anything else regarding reimbursement regarding the stormwater? And you do want to discuss that?
I don't know if it could hurt to just re-summarize, since this has occurred over a period of weeks and the number of back and forth emails.
Yep, sure. Okay, so let's add that to the business agenda as well. We'll add that as item number 1 on the business agenda. And motion to approve both agendas as amended. All in favor?
Hi.
Is Eve here, our county legislator? Okay, then I'm going to move over to the public hearing. So I'm going to motion that we open the public hearing for the draft law regarding the housing board. Someone want to second it?
Second.
Any discussion? So I don't think we necessarily need to discuss anything. Anyone from the public want to share anything? Anyone online or in person? We got a note from Tony about the proposed law. If you're here, do you want to summarize it, or you just wanted to be on the record having submitted that letter? You don't have to. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Okay.
I think you probably got a few letters on it, and I'm sure I just would reiterate some of the points. Maybe a few anecdotes from the men. That's it. No,
Yeah, so we got 2 letters, one from Jane Schamberg, and a second from Adele Ruger, who were concerned about the proposed law.
There's 2 people in the waiting room, by the way.
Okay, so Liz and Eve are here. Do either one of you want to make a public comment regarding the proposed law change?
I don't know what law change you're talking about.
So Eve, you're here wearing your county legislator hat. Do you want to provide us with any updates that you feel we should know about?
Yes. I was just trying to catch myself up on things, but so the few things I have, the eviction, we identified an organization, Legal Services, Not Unexpectedly. So there is a resolution for a contract with them to provide legal services for 1 year. I will say it was a little hard getting it out of Health and Human Services. A couple of the Republicans and Legislator Petit were concerned that this was unfair to landlords. No comment. But we got it through Health, Human Services and Housing. It's and through ARPA. And so now it goes in front of Ways and Means next week. and then hopefully that passes, and then it'll be in front of the legislature. So, anything that you can do to encourage people to vote in the positive for this. I think that, the point that I tried to make was that this was not tipping the scale. This was providing fair trial, and that if someone is being threatened with eviction who has actually done something illegal, they will still get evicted. It's only if they're threatened with eviction and they did not do anything wrong. And so, I'm not sure what you can do for Ways and Means unless, Tim, if supervisors reach out to their legislators and say, look, this is important to all of us to have these people, supported with legal support, because we know that this is a big issue right now and COVID has made it worse. Otherwise, if it does get out of Ways and Means, which I hope it does, then anyone's welcome to speak in public comment about the importance of it. The second thing, which I'm trying to find the detail. Oh, it's not here. Oh, maybe that's why. So I guess I still have not made the changes to the proposed Main Street resolution that the executive's office came through. I was hoping that I could quickly read how they're going to change it, but now I see that they don't. I believe that Tim Wiederman felt like he spoke to the supervisors and mayors about this. I don't know if you were part of that conversation. Just as a reminder, they were proposing to give like 20,000 to like 5 businesses as core anchor businesses. And many of us pushed back and felt that the money should go to municipalities to decide how they need to improve their main streets rather than to a business. If the municipality felt it wanted to give it to an anchor business, they're welcome to, but that we wanted the flexibility for sidewalks, lighting, parking improvements, or whatever. So I keep waiting to see how they're going to revise the language, but I haven't seen it. But it's definitely, if the supervisors and mayors have not talked to Tim Wiederman about it, they ought to soon, because I feel like we're getting this message that it has somewhat of your team's okay on it. And I will say I will not vote in favor of it just going to one business, one anchor business. I don't think that that's the way to use the money. And the last is, if you recall, there was Paradise Lane property was looked at for emergency services. We had concerns, especially because of the asking price and the fact that a large part of this property, like there were promises that really were not realistic, that somehow the rest of the property would be used for housing, which just ignores the fact that there's no water and sewer and that they're brownfields and various other things. So they have identified 2 other locations. They haven't taken Paradise off the list, but we were presented 2 others, and the reason why it's relevant, one is in Lloyd, but the other one is across the street from the high school. And I kind of felt that was kind of intriguing because if there is a need to really do some kind of major emergency response where all different kinds of, the police, sheriff, different municipalities, state, federal, all had to gather together, having the high school as a place, like if we had to emergency house people in a gym or do something in the field, like I felt like it might be a kind of nice partnership to have it, and maybe have a relationship with the school district in those cases. Just to clarify, this is not a place where like EMS drives trucks out of or fire trucks out of. This is an administrative hub. So this is where 911 center is. So it's not like there'll be fire trucks going up and down the road all the time. It's just for the administrative piece, but they also want to have a location that, should there be some major crisis, a lot of different responders different municipal levels can all come together in one place and gang plan it. So I don't know if you have any thoughts or concerns about the property across from the high school. I know that's town, not village, but you know, it does impact us. I will say the last part is they made the argument that the reason I said, you know, I was very concerned about them making these false promises that they're going to get these big properties and then put affordable housing when that's just not necessarily feasible, or that's just not, they don't have a plan. They don't have specifics. And Dennis Doyle said, you know, for him, it's really about forward thinking, that identifying more property to put, like, for example, UCAP might need a place to store more buses, or we want to put more services down in New Paltz. So they kept talking about using New Paltz as like this southern hub of municipal services. And I just want to say, you'll appreciate this, Tim, that I said that I expect that if that happens, then New Paltz will get a larger share of the of the sales tax money if we're going to become a municipal service hub also. So nobody else seemed to appreciate that in the room, but I did say that. And I think
Thanks
that's
for
the
that,
last.
Steve.
Yeah. So any questions or thoughts?
No, I appreciate the update about the Government Operations Center. That's interesting to see about those ongoing deliberations. And I'll message Tim Wiedemann to ask him about this. So is Main Street Grant, is that like a Ulster County name that we came up with?
Yeah, that's what that's what he called it. You know, it's interesting because there is that state Main Street Grant, and I think it can get confusing. But yes, you know, this is the county's, it's an proposed ARPA plan. Keep in mind, we have a small business ARPA that's already been approved that, you know, for businesses across the whole county. And so to me, it's somewhat redundant, especially, you know, they haven't even doled out the small business money yet. But yes, that original plan, like I said, was something like 20,000 or some huge amount just to like 5 businesses.
Right. Okay, I'll ask him to share any relevant information with the Supervisors and Mayors Association. We're meeting next week, so this feels timely, next Tuesday morning. Any update on announcements regarding the water sewer grant money via the
I
ARPA
always
program?
try to remember to ask Chris Kelly right before this meeting, but yesterday it was like 5 hours of meeting. So I will follow up with Chris Kelly and find out what's going on with that.
Okay, great. I mean, the vibe that I'm receiving is that feels encouraging, that we should hear positive news about our application soon. So fingers crossed, that will make our treasurer super happy.
Yeah, yes, for sure. So I will find out and I'll let you know. You know, I'll send you an email and let you know. I feel like, you know, given the delay on the small businesses, I just feel like that ARPA team is really struggling a little to get through all of this stuff. So I think it's more of a delay because of just person time. But yeah, I'll find out. Because I mean, there's not that many applicants. It's not like the small business one, which will be hundreds of applicants. It's like probably 10, right? So
Yeah, from what I understand, the number of applicants, even if we receive, if everyone is awarded, it's below the dollar amount that was allocated to the program. So that should
yeah,
that
it should be a no-brainer then, I would think. Yeah. Anything else?
No, thanks for, as usual, thanks for you know, providing us with this insight.
Yep. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eve. See you soon.
So we still have this public hearing open right now. That was a brief break to get an update from our county legislator. I didn't know if Liz and Matt, were you guys here just to watch, or did you want to speak to this this proposed change.
Thanks so much for checking in. We're just checking it out for now.
Okay.
We skipped announcements for us.
Good catch.
Thanks, Michelle.
We have a captive audience, I figured.
Let's, so I'm comfortable with the idea of keeping this public hearing open for at least one more meeting. I like that our tradition has been to err on the side of keeping public hearings open a little bit longer. So not hearing from anyone except the couple of letters that we received and then Tony's note. We'll keep it open for at least one more meeting, if not more. So now let's hit rewind and go back to the announcements.
I have two that are both related to Family of New Paltz and helping our community, which is super important. The 18th annual Turkey Trot is happening. You can sign up to run or donate some time at newpaltzturkeytrot.com. It is a big fundraiser for them. Additionally, if you are not a runner or walker and want to open your wallets to help Family of New Paltz, they are always looking for items, but also especially cash to help members of our community keep up with everyday bills. That has been a huge thing right now for folks in our community who need help in that way. Also, Sisterhood New Paltz is having their 6th annual Red Tent Drive, which is a collection of maxi pads only, and all of the maxi pads goes towards those in need who go to Family of New Paltz and their affiliates. And right now there are red tent boxes at Elton Library in the lobby, at Lush Salon, the El Salon, and Gem Hair Studio. So you can stop into any of those places during those open business hours and drop off maxi pads. Maxi pads only, that's all they need. Additionally, excited and thankful to announce that Tops donated $50 towards the Red Tent Drive for us to purchase maxi pads. And so here's a challenge to other local businesses to perhaps match that. And so we can hopefully have a very successful drive. It's a really, it's such a great thing to help members in our community with, you know, personal hygiene and dignity. And it's such an expense that those who menstruate often go without to supply for food or for their family. So hopefully everybody can come together for that. And that runs through the month of October.
Thanks, Michelle. I have a couple quick announcements. First, I just wanted to publicly thank New Paltz Police Department, New Paltz Rescue, for all that they do. They saved a good friend of mine's life a couple weeks ago, which leads me to a reminder to always carry Narcan. So we have Narcan trainings available all the time, thanks to our, Office of Community Engagement. So you can head over to the website. It's opioidpreventionnp.org, and you can do the training, and the folks will get you the kit. You can also check there for any in-person or live trainings that are happening, every couple of weeks. You can also get Narcan and other harm reduction services such as fentanyl test strips anywhere, delivered to you anywhere in Ulster County. You can call or text this number, 914-610-5324. And the Never Use Alone hotline is really great, 800-484-3731. I meant to pull up the Veterans Support Hotline because they actually were involved in helping save my friend's life too. So stay tuned next time, I'll pull that up. My final announcement is just a reminder, the free food fridge operates every day, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. right outside 25 Platic Hill Avenue. Donations always needed. For some guidelines on, on that, you can head over to millionsofbutterflies.org/free-food-fridge, or just go to the free food fridge and look at what's written on it. And if you're hungry, just go help yourself. There's also a couple of backpacks still in there. I checked after Bella posted about that the other day for families who need backpacking supplies. And there's some other good useful things in there.
Thanks, Alex. Motion to move the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
And I just wanted to pull a couple things out. So thank you, Terry Dolan. Terry currently serves as the chair of our Affordable Housing Board, and he expressed interest in serving on the planning board, and we had an alternate spot open. So that's greatly appreciated by this village board as well as the community broadly. Had a conversation about volunteerism at the town gown meeting this morning, and I'd like to actually add a topic for us to explore as a board at the end of this meeting. If we could just add that at the end of our business agenda. And Tony, I think I said it when we amended that consent agenda. Thank you again for agreeing to participate on the Landlord Tenant Relation Council in that landlord spot. That's very noble of you to help, considering that you're already spending a fair amount of time volunteering as the chair of our zoning board of appeals.
Thank you to our super volunteers.
Yeah, that doesn't go outside the building. Autumn, you sent me this is the agenda that was on. Yeah. If you would have any questions, yes, just, somebody got time to have that contact with you.
Regarding appointing you to,
Yeah, I didn't know.
we already did it.
That worked out great.
We just did it.
I'm
We
moving the
took
consent.
that action in the consent agenda.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah,
Thank you. Okay.
thank you. So then, jumping ahead to our business agenda, we have item number 1, climate equity and social justice. I'm going up to Albany tomorrow to speak on behalf of elected officials to talk about, our state government doing as much as possible to prepare and protect us from climate change, and anything else from our board regarding any of those 3 topics.
On the housing front, all the points in our resolution that we passed last meeting to opt into the Ulster County Housing Smart Communities initiative, we're moving forward on it. So Tim and I are going to be meeting, with the county planning department early next week to talk about how they can support the village opting into ETPA, the rent stabilization law, which would also include opting into SCREE, which is the senior citizen rent increase exemption. So I guess stay tuned for more justice items next time.
Definitely. So Perry, we were going to chat with you for a moment about your situation. Do you want to come just a little bit closer? If you make it more conversational. I can give the board and the community just background about what has transpired. The water main on Prospect Street was replaced. It was a many decades old water main that needed to be replaced. And unfortunately, a mistake was made. I think it was it wasn't even the contractor's responsibility. I think the contractor actually damaged your mailbox separately, and they handled that. But it was our staff, and they were very sorry for doing something that affected your pump that is attached to your gray water system.
Yeah, and just to be very accurate, so it's when you use gray water, that was kind of part of the exchange of the email. So it does feed both the outdoor hose spigots, which could certainly be gray water, but then it also fills the toilets. And I guess, you know, when you flush the toilets, if it's not, you know, if the pump isn't working, then the village water, there's a switch that allows village water to work when you don't have that available.
Right.
So that's the way, it's a rain water harvesting system. The water comes off, is captured from the roof. Nick and Golders built a house, and had that installed, or requested as an option. And so the water pump, is part of the system that takes the water from that harvesting tank and sends it to the water spigots and to the toilets. And it's 1,100 gallon capacity, not going anywhere when we move. And it was had about 800 gallons. And I guess the DPW person, you know, noted that and blew in one of the mornings to survey it. And so the pump, the water spigot was left open with the 800 gallons in it, and they were empty because the pump was running continuously for I don't know how many hours to turn the pump out. And then of course we've lost the water, and I imagine the water value is relatively de minimis compared to the pump. But we did get a couple of estimates, and I sent the second one over to MIS last week from reputable local vendors. And you know, I have copies of them here if they were needed, but one was from, since the public isn't here, it's safe just to read names, or should I just keep them?
No, this is a public meeting.
I'll keep it generic then. But there's one New Falls vendor and one Ulster Park vendor. And, you know, there are two, and they both came personally to view, you know, the situation in the basement, and then sent up estimates afterwards, and shared both of those with them.
Yeah. Right. So what we did on our consent agenda is that we approved paying you the $1,395 for the low bid so that you could pay for the labor and the new pump. You've not done the work yet.
I haven't done it yet. Yeah, it's just I wanted to go through the process and see how it came out.
Yeah.
Because,
So I trust that that's I mean, it's still a hassle for you to have to deal with, you know, engaging with a contractor and having them come and perform the work. So, you know, unfortunately, we have no way of you know, providing a monetary value for that, except we apologize that we, you know, are, you know, required you to endure this situation. And then I think what's, you know, as you pointed out, the value of like even up to 1,000 gallons of water would be, you know, based on our current rate schedule, would be $5.75. So, you know, it's not an enormous value. And I appreciate, I think the other point that you were trying to raise is like, then even though that amount of water was lost, it has that value, then you're also buying municipal water as opposed to using your gray water system during this interim period. Right. So there's that expense there. I feel like the challenge, and this is kind of like a bigger, interesting situation too, if we're gonna like think about, you know, how your house is designed. And there's a handful of other gray water systems in the community. So if everyone had a gray water system, it would be a challenge because then we would have no way of measuring the amount of sewer capacity that would be used by any of those properties. Because so like for any other property where they do not have a gray water system, they receive a water bill based on their consumption and a separate sewer bill. And that sewer bill is determined by how much water is used. So you know, anyone with a gray water system is basically getting sewer treatment at no charge because we don't have a way to meter sewer. I mean, we probably could purchase sewer meters, but we're already neck deep in, you know, trying to afford purchasing water meters. So I feel like probably the best thing to do is to just leave this situation as is.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I just wanted to read it because that was part of, you know, the scenario. And just acknowledging it and discussing it, understanding that that amount is de minimis anyway, and we want to replace the, reimburse the pump cost is fine.
Right, 100%. And our staff, recognizes the mistake that they made while they were, working with the contractors. This was one of those, wish we could have prevented it, wish we, didn't end up where we ended up, but, we're trying to make it right by at least, making sure you get the labor and the new pump paid for.
Well, I appreciate that. So, how would the process work? Do I just engage with the vendor and have them send the bill directly, or do I pay it and have them do it reimburse?
We can figure out exactly the timing. We received the quote. I'm imagining we could probably just issue you the check straight away, and then you could engage with the vendor to greenlight them to get the work done.
Okay.
I think, what we're looking for too is just to, we'll take the old pump, maybe, our staff can do something with it. Maybe it's salvageable for some reason. But yeah, we went ahead and approved the payment. So
Okay.
we can probably just effectively mail you a check.
Okay. All right. So, would that be in the next week or so?
Yeah, and
Okay.
our I would anticipate in the next week or so.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Sorry for the trouble again.
Good night.
Too.
Thank you.
The next item is this ongoing project where we've been working with the DEP to have them reimburse us for our permanent water solutions, where we're trying to have up to 6 groundwater wells, 4 up near the water treatment plant and 2 down in Memorial Blue Park. And we have a very complicated agreement with certain milestones and certain dates, and because of COVID, and because in this world everything takes longer than anyone would expect, because engineers are incredibly busy and because regulators are very busy. We needed to extend the contract, the term of the contract that we have with the DEP. So we asked them to kick it out until the end of 2025. And I'm super grateful that the New York City DEP agreed. And this is basically a 1.5-page document that I'm asking the village board to authorize me to go ahead and sign, so that can be formalized. That's my motion. Someone want to second it? All in favor? Aye. Motion to move bills and claims. All in favor? Aye. Bill is our planning board liaison. He's excused from this meeting. And we'll get a liaison update from him at the next meeting. Our ZBA liaison is also excused from this meeting, Stana, so we'll have to wait for an update next time. And then the other topic that I wanted to bring up was this concept, and it kind of reminded me of Michelle for some time, has thought about ways to engage students in local government. And this might be an interesting way of doing that, where we're trying to figure out how, this is a challenge that's much broader than all of us. Is like, how do we engage volunteers? And maybe, and I was thinking about this because when I served on the school board, what they would have each semester is a high school student who would sit with the school board and participate in meetings to a certain extent, and probably get the agendas in advance. And maybe we should be doing that same thing with I think our 2 most important administrative boards, the planning board and the zoning board of appeals. So I mentioned this morning at Town Gown, and I was thinking it could be really interesting to appoint 1 or 2 students from the high school each semester, and 1 or 2 students from SUNY New Paltz each semester. And I know from doing other work where we try to involve the schools, sometimes it's super effective to get teachers or professors to recommend individuals. So maybe this is something you might be interested in orchestrating, Michelle. Finding, some teachers at the high school or some professors at the college, or, even administrators at either institution, but, just this idea of like, finding young people who, get the agendas just as if they were members of each of these boards, come to the meetings during the evenings. And, it could be like a cool resume builder. It should be considered an honor to be selected to serve in this way. And I think what we'd be doing is be instilling in them just, an understanding or an appreciation for this type of volunteer work. But that could be, a really tangible and achievable thing that we could do to engage some young people.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Since we just kind of started with the Landlord-Tenant Relations Council, like having like some ad hoc roles, that don't necessarily fit into the law's definition of the council, but we have had a SUNY representative now for nearly 3 years. It's been 3 different SUNY reps. That are part of the student government. That's been really cool and helpful, and has been I don't know, it's just been a really great way to connect with different parts of the community that maybe we had missed or previous iterations of the council had missed. For example, the student association sent out a letter to off-campus students with all the Know Your Rights info. It's a built-in partner for the, every few months Know Your Rights training workshops that the council organizes, and stuff like that. It's just, it's so good to have those built in. And then having the SUNY parent role has been really cool too. So I'm loving having a student role on these different boards. I think that's a really good idea.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, their voices are vital, and perhaps bringing even fresh new ideas and perspectives is so important. So I love the idea of that. You said planning board and PBA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Autumn and I were talking about this morning, where often when we extend invitations like this or try to make other community members aware of the boards or commissions, people often gravitate towards environmental policy or bike ped and sometimes housing related stuff. And I feel like they might be a little intimidated or less interested in planning and zoning because they might be unfamiliar with it. And I was super unfamiliar with what a planning board did until I started serving on the town's planning board in 2013. And now I think planning and zoning is really fascinating, and I spend every day dealing with it. But so that's why I'm thinking and oftentimes a great way to engage people is to ask them to participate, as opposed to, having, just like what we've done time and time again, where we're saying we're looking for volunteers, and maybe if we can get, teachers and professors engaged, and they can help us identify people and then ask those young people to participate. That might be an effective way to create some stickiness and generate interest in some of this work. But because we can't emphasize it enough, the culture of volunteerism is incredibly important, for communities like ours. Whether it's volunteer firefighters or people to run the library fair or people to serve on the ZBA, it's like any and all is important for a community like ours to work. And So that's the thinking, just trying everything and anything to engage more people could be useful. All right, so if you want to brainstorm about this idea, I'm sure you have probably a bunch of your own ideas in terms of contacts, but
Yeah.
that'd be cool if you wanted to spearhead some of this, because I know that it's been a topic that you've brought up a couple of times in the past, like this is something we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll put some ideas together and then we'll talk and see, and get this rolling.
Awesome. All right, if there's nothing else, does anyone, I see that there's a couple of people who might want to make a public comment. We have this public hearing that is open about this change to our Affordable Housing Board. Otherwise, we'll hear from you in 2 weeks. Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.